Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 2, Maureen Bronges. We are honoured to acknowledge the international military delegation with representatives from the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, New Zealand and Australia who are joining us this evening. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During the ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors and students on behalf of the following schools. From New South Wales, Ashford Central School and Wombrel Public School. From Victoria, the Ashwood School, and from Western Australia, the Bletchley Park Primary School, Southern River. I'd invite you all now to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Students, you may be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of the more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid by the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we pay tribute to Pilot Officer Leslie John Nichols, who was killed on active service with the Royal Air Force during the Second World War. Born in Springwood, New South Wales, on the 28th of June 1923, Leslie John Nichols was the son of George Henry Nichols and Elise N.Z. Nichols. Residing in Sydney, suburb of Artarmon, Leslie Nichols worked as a clerk and served as a signalman in the 1st Australian Motor Division Signals, attached to the 6th Anti-Tank Battery of the 102nd Anti-Tank Regiment of the Militia. Enlisting in the Royal Australian Air Force in November 1942, Nichols began training as an air gunner and wireless operator, and in August 1943, he embarked for overseas service. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, Nichols was one of more than almost 27,500 RAAF pilots, navigators, wireless operators, gunners and engineers who joined squadrons based in Britain throughout the course of the war. Arriving in Britain in September 1943, Nichols undertook further specialist training before being posted in August 1944 to the No. 158 Squadron, Royal Air Force. As part of the RAF Bomber Command, the squadron was equipped with the 4-engine Handley Page Halifax heavy bomber. While flying his 23rd operation with the squadron on the 7th of February 1945, Nichols was part of a raid over Germany, where the Halifax, in which he was the wireless operator, collided with the Halifax of number 77 Squadron and crashed over Geraldton, Germany. The pilot ordered the crew to bail out, but only 3 of the 7 British and Australian crew of the Halifax were able to do so safely. Those who survived became prisoners of war and saw the war through to the end. Nichols and fellow Australian flying officer John Leslie Beeson, along with 2 British crewmates, were killed in the crash. The commander of the 158 Squadron wrote to Nichols' mother saying that he had completed a considerable number of operations and had proved himself a worthy member of an excellent crew. Nichols was 21 years old when he died. His body was recovered and is buried in the communal grave with his crewmates at the British and Commonwealth Reichwald Forest Cemetery in Cleve, Germany. Nichols' name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left among 40,000 other Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Pilot Officer Leslie John Nichols, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.